Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. I am ready for the event.
Brad Pitt, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Station for a voice check.
Station, this is Brad. How do you hear me?
Hey, Brad, this is Nick. I've got you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station.
Thank you very much. I got to tell you, this is a real treat. Real pleasure to be talking to you up there.
Hey, likewise, a treat for us. Actually, we got a chance to sneak preview the movie a few weeks back, and just want to start off by saying thank you for what you're doing to contribute to the mission of awareness and to set that, light that fire in the imaginations of the next generation of explorers. Thank
you, Nick. Thank you very much. And now that I have you all the way up at the space station, let's talk about me. How do we do? How was our zero G?
I got to tell you, it was really good. And the depictions, the settings, all, as you can tell, look very similar to the type of setting you've got. I've got around me. I got to imagine it was a lot easier for me to kind of enjoy the zero G than it was you, whether it was CGI or hooked to strings.
I'll tell you what, our ship was a bit cleaner. Do you know what everything is on the walls there behind you?
When I first got up here, it looked similar but very different, if you can imagine that, to what we train on in the ground. We had lots of photos on the ground, but up here everything hangs off the walls and there's cables everywhere. But yeah, you get very familiar with it and you know exactly what's going on. A lot of it is storage of equipment, and then we've got different facilities. For instance, this one right here, this wall, helps us research how flames burn in space, which is very different than on the ground. And by removing the effect of gravity forcing a certain shape to a flame, we can study exactly what goes on to inside a flame to a greater detail. Helps us figure out how to make cleaner burning engines, and get more out of the energy that we do consume.
I was curious, what are the certainly, what are the repercussions on your body in zero G? First of all, would it be morning for you there? Would it be night for you there? How do you gauge your waking hours if you see 16 sunrises and sunsets a day?
So we do a lot to try to manage that circadian rhythm. One thing we do is we use different hues of the color spectrum, so that we have morning, very bright blue light that we switch, and then later in the day it goes to a more normal, more balanced spectrum, and then at night we get rid of that blue light. And we all follow the Greenwich Mean Time, and that's to help synchronize, the international aspect of this. We've got a control station in Houston, in Huntsville, Alabama. Then we've got control centers in Japan and in Germany and in Russia and up in Montreal, and all of them need to operate on the same time, so we picked Greenwich Mean Time. But really, if you're not smart and you're new to the station, you run to the windows and you want to check things out right after you get done with your workday. You get a face full of sun. It gets very difficult to go to sleep for a couple hours with all that blue light.
Wow, I would think so. So is there a night shift, or is everyone on those hours?
Yeah, so we try to the crew stays on the same workday hours, and so we work a 12-hour workday. Starts at about 7:30 in the morning and finishes at about 7:30 in the evening. But there is a night shift. There's actually a massive team on the ground that is controlling about 95% of what happens on the space station, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It is an amazing orchestration of an international program that comes together to truly achieve something that we can't do alone. And it's through that strength and diversity, or strength through diversity, that we're able to have, successfully operated this station for 2 decades.
It's incredible. I got to go to JPL last week, and it was on the day when India was landing on the moon, and the United States were assisting them in that effort. Could you see that from where you are?
No, unfortunately. So I, along with the rest of the crew, just had to follow along with the news reports. And it's one of those things where international cooperation is so important, because a saying we've got up here is space is hard. Things that should be easy, when you try to do them in space, they just get harder. And the things that we're trying to do every day. The team on the ground, NASA and its international partners, do a great job of making really hard, almost impossible things look routine. And it's one of those things where you can get some complacency, but the things that we're able to achieve together it's something special. For me, that is the biggest thing that I've pulled from this mission, is that idea of cooperation at a global scale is what's going to propel humanity into the future.
I got to see a little of that. They were working on the new rover that's going to go to Mars, and it was an international effort, which was really impressive to see everyone working together to build different components to this rover. What are your current missions at this point?
Yeah, so I'm actually on the tail end of my time up here. I've got a 200-day mission on board the space station, and I'm north of 180 days now, only a few weeks left before I return early in October. And on a routine week, it's a lot of different science experiments. We do maintenance to maintain the station. I was fortunate enough a few weeks back to be able to do my third spacewalk, and those are all just amazing experiences. And every day is full of something new and exciting. If you look at the spectrum of experiments that you get to do over the course of the mission, I've got to be involved with the looking at different ways to develop new types of rubber that will change the way potentially we make tires and make cars more fuel efficient, or how we extrude fiber optics to help improve communications technology on the ground and make it more cost effective, to all the way to the other end of the spectrum where we've done gene editing, and we're looking at things that are going to help us push for cures for Alzheimer and cancer. And so it just spans this whole spectrum. And growing up on a farm, I never would have thought that I'd be able to be involved with things like that.
It really is extraordinary. By the way, you're from Kansas, I'm from Missouri, so we're neighbors.
It's a good part of the country. I've taken lots of photos of it over the past 6 months.
I bet. Congratulations on 200 days. What is that like on the psyche? What is that? I'm sure you're always busy, but at the same time missing family and loved ones at homes. How do you keep your mental state at peace?
Yeah, absolutely. Being apart from your family, your friends, your loved ones is a challenge. And one of the luxuries I think we have of working in low Earth orbit, close to the Earth, is the amount of connectivity that we have, the ability to make phone calls and check in on a routine basis. To every weekend being able to do a video conference with my kids and share a little bit of the experience up here with them, but also be a part of their life and understand what they're going through on the ground, so that we have shared experience, and at the end of 200 days you can come home and return to being a normal family. Those are the challenges. It's easier here in low Earth orbit because communications is almost without delay. As we push further and deeper into space, those challenges will become more difficult with communications delays and just being able to stay in contact with those friends and loved ones.
Yeah, to me it sounds harrowing and really challenging. I'd read astronauts speak about looking back on the Earth and really being aware how insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things. Did you have a similar experience or something different?
That's one of the special things about being up here, is being able to float over to the window and see the Earth below, to look down 250 miles and with your naked eye you can see the crop circles in Kansas, in Missouri, and you can see you can see humanity below you, and you can see it glide by as we go screaming through the sky, at 5 miles a second, and just take in. You get a perspective that you're away from the Earth. And then same view, you can see the moon rising over the horizon, and you get this idea that I'm not on the Earth, and I'm not at the moon, but I'm just kind of in the cosmos. And then that perspective really challenges you, because now you're looking down at everything that you've ever known, all of humanity right there, and you have this deep appreciation for how big the universe really is. And for me, it's just made me cherish and appreciate how delicate and how precious the little island we live on really is.
I think that's really beautiful to hear. Okay, most important question. Who controls the jam box?
So we have a rotating playlist. We take turns, and it's nice because we have the international flair as well. So we have an Italian astronaut on board, along with the U.S. astronauts, and then 2 cosmonauts. And so getting to hear some traditional music from Russia over dinner is a nice change, exposure, and helps us really appreciate that international feel that the crew has.
Yes, but every now and then, I'm sure someone's going, I wish Nick wouldn't play that country and western anymore.
There's that, and to have me stop telling my bad dad jokes.
Now, how are you able to stay in a single space this way? I see you tapping your feet every now and then. Are you in a foothold?
Yeah, I've got a foothold. And, I can change that up, but basically there's handrails everywhere, and I can just hook my foot underneath there. And it's one of the unique, you talked about challenges for the body being up here. This is one of those unique adaptations. The calluses on my feet have basically have gone away because I don't walk on the bottoms of my feet. But now I have calluses across the top of my foot around my big toe because I'm constantly hanging on things with my big toe to hold me in place. One of those strange things that you don't really think about on the ground, and then you get up here and it's like, wow, the body is this amazing, constantly evolving thing, and space changes everything.
That's incredible to see. And I imagine when you're upside down for us, it feels exactly the same as the other way. One of the things we were playing with in the film, which we really didn't get to, was this idea of 3D printing. We were going to, this idea that everything would be 3D printed on location. And I understand you all have already adopted some of that, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had several experiments up here. So some of the experiments we're doing here are technology demonstrations to prove out a concept that we hope to apply as we go back to the moon and as part of the Artemis program. And so things like tools and simple things that might be easy to print on demand when you need them, so that you don't have to launch every conceivable object with you when you're going on that long trip to the moon or that extremely long trip to Mars. You can just take some stock with you, some feedstock, and then just throw that in the printer and then print out what you need. So we've done those things, and we continue to experiment with those. One of the more interesting ideas behind 3D printing that we just wrapped up an experiment session with was 3D printing organs. And so we had cardiac muscle and veins, and there was a ink printer that we loaded in the inks, if you will, into the printer, and watched it try to print out samples of tissue.
It's just incredible to think what the future is going to bring. I got to ask you. They tell me my time's almost up. This is such a pleasure. I get asked questions for hours. Please tell me, what's a spacewalk like? What do you feel?
Yeah, so you really are, when you get in your spacesuit, you're putting on your own spacecraft. And so as you embark out through the hatchway, the first thing you see is the Earth 250 miles below, and different than the perspective you get inside the space station, the helmet really provides almost this 180 panoramic view that's unobstructed, and you very quickly forget that there's anything between you and the vacuum of space. Really, the only noise you hear is the quiet hum of the ventilation system blowing fresh air behind your head to support. That's your life support system, and then you find yourself going to work, working with the team on the ground and being focused on the task. But there are these special moments. I can remember one from my last EVA where I was out on the very front of the space station, and I was getting ready to pack up a bag and come back inside, and I looked up, and there was just the Earth, the curve of the Earth, and terrain coming underneath me, and I could feel the speed of the station. We're going 17,000 miles per hour through space, and it could feel the speed of that as I'm riding on the front, just looking out over everything in front of us. And it's just the emotions that just wash over you are hard to describe.
Amazing. Nick, last question, and I need to call on your expertise. Who was more believable, Clooney or Pitt?
You were, absolutely.
Nick, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, a real dream of mine. I can't wait to brag to my kids. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with me and to watch our film. And all my respect to what you guys are doing up there.
Well, thank you. Thank you again. What you do and what you're able to do through storytelling to inspire the next generation is so critical to the success of our programs in the future. My generation, I am not going to be the person that steps foot on Mars, but the children that are watching your movies, those young adults that are watching your movies, are the ones that are going to be inspired to achieve great things. And it's the power of those dreams that you inspire that is going to propel us successfully into the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. All the best, and all the best to everyone up there.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
We'd like to thank Brad Pitt for participating today. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.